Dude, I have an Untainted on me. This could go really badly now. The fucking Untainted came out of nowhere. This is gonna go really badly now. Oh, dude, I did it! They blew up. And my pets died, too. Wow. Wow, dude, dude, how much? Oh, wow, we might have broke 100 million, guys. That thing was full HP and it exploded. Please tell me I broke 100 million. 10 minutes? I don't even care that it was 10 minutes. Tell me I broke 100 million. 142! Let's fucking go! Oh, boys. Oh, boys. Alrighty, welcome back everyone. Scarland here bringing you a new Wolcen video. Today we're finally releasing the anticipated Necromancer build and guide. I know a lot of people have been asking me about this. Basically what we're taking here is we're taking the exploding mage and we're actually making it better. So we're taking the philosophy and the theory crafting behind the exploding mage and we're making it a little more better overall. Now this of course is endgame material, endgame build. I've been getting a lot of feedback recently of, you know, a lot of people aren't going to ever get level 90 on the live servers. Well, I'm not going to put a video out there that's only level 70. I'm not going to put a video out there that's only level 80. So I put out endgame material. This is something you want to strive for. This is what you want to work toward. It gives you hope. It gets you to keep playing the game and keep grinding until you get to that point. So you watched the clip at the beginning of the video that was accomplished on this build. That's actually the hardest I've ever hit thus far in the game, so not too bad. So we are going to move this video right along, and let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright guys, and let's go ahead and take a look at the attributes really quickly and our overall statistics. So this isn't 100% needed. You mainly want to focus on toughness and wisdom. You want to have some decent HP numbers, and the wisdom simply to get the element chance, so 30% should be more than enough. I dumped additional points in ferocity, but it's not 100% needed. You can mess around with your attributes until you find somewhere you're comfortable. You know, gear is a big part of your statistics, so whatever rolls that you're lacking, if you're not getting toughness rolls or ferocity rolls or wisdom rolls, you can try to make up those attributes. Now overall for the stats, of course we are utilizing the frost weave. I mean, it's just too good not to, right? This combination is just so broken. Between the frost weave to get the high crit numbers and the trowel to get mark of impunity, it's just it's a broken combination. So this number does not reflect our actual crit, even though it says 48%. When we go into the spells, you'll see the real crit. We're utilizing frost, so we do have one frost gem in our weapon, just so we are boosting that crit chance up with frost weave. You can mess around with the sockets as well to try to get more elements, so that's completely up to you. As long for our survivability, like I said, we're sitting at 73,000 HP. Force shield is a big deal. You need to have at least more than one. So you can have 50 force shield, 500 force shield, 1,000 force shield, 1,500, whatever the case may be. Is we're actually going to take a couple nodes that are going to further increase our overall DPS as long as you can maintain this. So any amount of force shield is fine. I don't even know where I'm getting it from. Probably one of my items has force shield on it or something. Now, again, we're relying on our pets. You know, we're calling this a Necromancer build, so we're using double liver mortis, and this is our survivability. We have no block chance, we have no dodge chance. We do have 10% spell life leech and 8% attack life leech. That's going to help keeping you alive, but we're mainly focused on using the health globes and automatically sucking in those health globes and keeping us alive. Another huge part of this is, of course, we're going full resistance. I almost have 80% across the board, so 79.5, 79.6, 78.1. You can even boost these even more. If for whatever reason you don't have the frost weave, and you want to slot in, you know, another resistance chest. I mean, this one has 888 resistance, and then I have it socketed even for more resistance. Now, you can swap that for HP or whatever, but I mean, it skyrockets, right? Now we're at 86, 86, and 86. These are insane numbers. Now, of course, your DPS is going to it's going to suffer significantly, right? Now you're not going to have that additional crit chance, but this is for the people that just don't have the frost weave yet. So you can theoretically still do this entire build. You're also going to notice my force shield drop to 0. So we would have to put a force shield gem somewhere, probably in the helmet. We'll take the 1000 HP out of the helmet and put force field in there. You have to have more than 0 force shield for this. So, but I mean, the resistance is insane. I mean, I've never hit 90% yet. I'm sure you can if I was using different spells and buffs, and I'm sure I can actually hit 100%. I don't even know if it's possible to 100%, but it might be. But for purposes, that's your resistance normally if you're going with anything. So it's not even that big of a difference. You're going from 79 to 86. Element damage doesn't really matter. I mean, we're a little less than 9k along the board. So that's going to wrap it up for the statistics and attributes. Let's go ahead and move into the spells and rotation. Alright guys, and I want to cut down the video. I know I've been getting more feedback of, the videos are kind of long, 40-minute build videos are long. I'm going to try to cut this one down, but I can't promise anything. So we're not really going to go in depth on the skills. You should be accustomed to this, especially if you watch the Exploding Mage build. But, we're using Anomaly. We're using Anomaly to pull in the mobs nice and tight, and then we're just exploding them. So here is the runes. We're not going to go over these individually. You can just take a screenshot or follow along. Notice our critical chance is 58%. Second, we are utilizing tiers. This is huge as well, as we're changing it into a DOT and changing it to fire damage. This crit is a little lower. It's 32%. Here's the runes. Mainly using tiers for the health globe generation. This just spits out health globes left and right. Same thing with Solar Flare. It's not only going to provide us with more DPS, but it's also a fast-hitting DOT, so it's going to spit out health globes just ridiculously. So here are the runes for this, and again 58%. Now, like I said, we are utilizing the pets. I'm calling this a Necromancer build. So you want to take all health, and then the only important one here is a portion of the damage received is transmitted to the summon. Now, this number does not reflect this. This is not being upgraded. So even if you, this one has increased health for summons, if you take this off, this number doesn't change. So it actually has a lot more HP than what it's telling you. Now, we're going to use skill duplication and have 2 of these guys active at once, right? You can only use 1 if you wanted to and slot in more DPS. That's up to you. I've noticed that I prefer 2 just because that's my personal playstyle. Now, if you don't have the Trowel Belt and you have to cast Mark of Impunity manually, then you're going to have to sacrifice one of these. You can do it with 1 golem. I personally prefer 2. So it's up to you. It's up to the individual player. Finally, we are rounding it out with Bleeding Edge. Now, as I mentioned a million times in previous videos, we're not using Bleeding Edge for damage. We use Bleeding Edge to dump our rage back into willpower. So this is huge. This is the skill setup that we're using. Damage is literally insignificant. The only important rune on here is more life leech. So anything getting hit with your Bleeding Edge, and you're going to be spamming it quite frequently, you're going to be life leeching from that as well. As far as the elements, we're not utilizing all of the elements, unfortunately. You can try to tweak this build to do more element damage, but I mean, it's not needed. You're going to be nuking everything anyway. So we do have stasis and weakness, burn and weakness, shock and weakness, and then freeze and burn. So we're missing a few elements. It doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't. You're going to be nuking everything so hard that it just doesn't really matter. That's going to wrap it up for the spells. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave me a comment below. All the links, as always, will be in the description to the Wolcen third-party site, Wolcen Universe. So let's go ahead and move along. Alright, and we're here to the passes. So this is the bread and butter. Keep in mind, of course, this is endgame. This is level 90 material. And this also has the extra +1 passive from the Dark Market or the productivity system. So this is what we're looking at here. Of course, I will have the link in the description to the Wolcen Universe so you can individually look at this. We're not going to go significantly in depth here. I mean, we're taking crit damage, cooldown reduction here, cooldown reduction. Those could be sacrificed based on your gear. Or if you have a lot of gear and it has cooldown reduction on your gear, well, you might not necessarily need the nodes for it. So those are optional. I want to definitely talk about the main ones, obviously. So we're taking element chance. This is the 25% force shield recharge. This is what I was talking about, why you need force shield. It matches up with this down here, Beacon of the Lost. 25% spell damage when your force shield is above 50%. So if you have 500 force shield, you need to maintain at least 250 of that. Well, with this setup, your force shield's usually never going to deplete. not only are you getting the 25% force shield recharge from health globes, but we're taking the perk right before it, which is the 15 radius for picking up health globes. 15 radius is pretty much the whole screen. Anytime a health globe drops, you're instantly picking it up for the most part. So your shield regeneration is usually going to maintain 100% unless you're getting hit so hard, but it doesn't matter. It's going to jump right back up as soon as you hit an enemy. And this can also be said about Blessed Mana. This is, again, optional. This is an additional 40% while you're picking up a health globe. It also works for your allies. This is another optional. Your resistance are already so incredibly high. You can sacrifice another 2 nodes right here because you definitely need the 4% health globe generation. You have to have that. But this is definitely optional. Like I said, the cooldowns are definitely optional. So coming off the purple path, we're going to move into the red path up here. We're going to the resistance. Now again, if you want to cut down on your resistance, you can go more HP. That's completely up to you. I would recommend going to resistance. So we'll go up to the resistance here just so we can come over here. We're coming all the way down here. And we are taking, which time cannot heal. I shouldn't have to explain what this does at this point in the game. I mean, this literally just doubles your damage for the most part. As long as you're hitting something with stasis, which as long as you're casting your anomaly, everything should be in stasis. So you're just going to basically get double the damage. We are going to take Dire Juncture. The more I use Dire Juncture, the less I like it. There's still occasions where I do get one-shot. This is supposed to prevent one-shots. You only take 40% of the initial hit, and then you take the rest after 1 second. To be honest, I think this needs upgraded. This is one of those things that very few things need, upgraded. This is one of those things. It's 1 second. That should actually be changed to like 3 seconds. Even 5 seconds. So you're taking that initial hit for 40 seconds, but 1 second later, you're taking that other 60%. So there needs to be more time for you to have, lifesteal opportunity or block chance, whatever defensive build you're working with. That's my own personal opinion on Dire Juncture. I mean, we're going to take it. You have to take it. It's just the more I use it, the more I don't like it. Now, branching off from the red, coming down into here, we're only coming over here for element stacks. We're going to take Immortal Offering because it's a huge DPS increase. Branch over to Power of the First Man, which doesn't really matter. It just gives you 50% to multiply the elements. We're going to take that +1 additional element, which is super important because spells can only administer 1 element. Well, with this, now they do 2. Then we'll branch off down here into Occult Affliction. So again, this is just stacking damage on damage. This is occult damage is increased 5% for every curse stack. You're gaining a majority of your curse stacks from Mark of Impunity by the trial, so this is huge. This is optional, but this is my personal preference, is taking Fatal Pack. I explained this on a live stream, why I go into Fatal Pack. So when you get through the dungeon, you finally get to the boss, and you're fighting the boss. Now remember, you gotta drag as many enemies to the boss as you can. You want to do that nuke damage. You can't just sit there and single target the boss. It'll take you a while. But Fatal Pack, we're taking this because not only does it grant us a majority of all its bonuses, but bosses in this game will actually apply debuffs to you and DOTs to you. You have to mitigate that. If you're struggling with endgame content, and you're at the boss battle and the boss is just stacking DOTs on you. I mean, they go up to 20 plus. So if you have 20 curse stacks on you or 20 weakness stacks on you, you're going to die. You're going to die all the time, and then you're going to end up losing that expedition. So Fatal Pack, what it does is it actually takes those stacks away as well. Those stacks will not accumulate on you if you're running Fatal Pack. So you're administering elements, debuffs to yourself, but so is the boss. So you're actually accumulating more debuffs even faster. But now with Fatal Pack, soon as your element stack hits 10, it automatically gets taken away and then that buff gets applied. For instance, you have the third one down here is 30% damage increase for yourself and allies when weakness stacks are removed. So if a boss is giving you weakness stacks, you're inflicting weakness stacks on yourself, you're going to get to that 10 stack mark really quickly, and then it's gonna automatically get taken away from you. You're gonna get that 30% buff for 7 seconds, and then the next round of debuffs are gonna be hitting you again. So I mean, it is personal preference. If you think you can maintain debuffs from the bosses, or you're killing the bosses just faster than I am for whatever reason, if that's possible, then maybe you don't need this. But I mean, it gives you a significant amount of statistics here. You're talking about 25% movement speed. You're talking about another 30% all resistance score, 30% damage buff, and then the plus 30 to max health and max force shield as well when you remove DOT damage. So this is actually huge. A lot of people have been sleeping on Fatal Pack thinking it's not good, but I gotta tell you guys, I love Fatal Pack. It's saved me a bunch of times with those bosses that just like to keep stacking debuffs on you. Moving over, we are going to continue to take the 4% damage for nearby enemies, so you want to make sure you're standing on top of everything you're killing to get that 4% per enemy. So if you have 10 enemies around you, that's 40% damage increase. Then we are going to take the Dawn's Striker here, Dawn's Pious Striker. This is another bread and butter of pretty much every build out there anymore. More and more builds are running this as the meta. This just kills champions. And it kills everything. If you take the second perk into it, it kills champions and bosses, but it kills everything. Once you get anything to 15% health, it explodes. So when you're doing 187 content and the bosses have 180 million HP, go ahead and take 15% off that, 180, because once you get that boss to 15%, he's gone, baby. He's gone. He gets deleted. Now, this is something new that I've just recently been playing around with, and that's why I wanted to tell you about the Force Shield and why the Force Shield is so important. So the 25% spell damage, when Force Shield is above 50%, you take the adjacent node, and that increases it to 35%. So it's just a 35% spell damage buff as long as you're maintaining your Force Shield, which you shouldn't have a problem with, honestly. And then we are going to shoot up here to the right. We're going to take 25% damage to enemies with impaired movement. Again, stacking damage on top of damage. 25%. We always have mobs in stasis. So, and it's just another 25%. We're going to move into here. This is the summon, and this is why we're using Liver Mortis. So we're just going to look at this briefly. Basically, it has 10% health regen, and then this is you lose 20% of your health and 20% of your force shield, and your summons take 25% less damage. And then all three of these nodes just increase that even more. So you're sacrificing your own HP and force shield, so your summons take less damage. And this is what pretty much makes you invincible. For the most part, you're not invincible. You will die, depending on the situation. You have to maintain your summons. They have to be summoned, right? So I've been playing around with this because I've gone into even more in depth. Like, I've increased their HP more by this one, increased their HP more by this one, like it doesn't seem to do anything. I don't know if it's broke. I've actually taken this middle one here, so I'm missing 30% HP, and I think it's broke because we already know that the damage is broke. The 15% damage, this is broke. This doesn't work. The damage nodes don't work. So we're only going to spec into one path just to get up here. Whenever they fix this, then maybe you want to adjust the build and the passives to reflect it if it does get fixed. But to me, I've tried it both ways. I've tried this fully maxed out, like I said, with the both regen nodes, all of the health nodes, and I see no difference. I honestly see no difference. The golem dies very rarely, if you leave the golem unattended, he's going to die. So that's that. And then finally, to wrap up the passes, we go into Anchor. We're using heavy armor as well as heavy helmet. The armor, you're not utilizing. You're only using this for the helmet. Remember, you want to have that frost weave. So we have to take the armor to actually get the helmet bonus. So you're getting a lot of resistance from these nodes here. And then I like to go over here. This is another questionable node, but I've noticed a significant increase. I think by taking this node here, disallowing Vessel, this is what let me hit that beginning clip of the video where I hit for over 140 million. I think it's because of this additional damage here. Basically, you get one inexorable point. Is that how you say it? Inexorable point every 1 second up to 10. So your movement speed goes down by 50% when you're standing still, but your damage goes up by 60% when you're, standing still. You will then lose damage as you move, but you'll gain movement speed while you move. So we're not using any mobility, but it doesn't matter. You can run from pack to pack, stack this up, Chances are when you're doing the trash mobs, you're not going to get the full bonus. But once you come to a champion or the Untainted, like the mini Untainted, and then finally the Untainted at the end, you should have no reason standing there, face tanking everything, gathering mobs up, and exploding the boss. And then this just gives you another 60% damage on top of everything else. So that's the passive. Link will be in the description. Let's finish out with the items. Alright guys, and let's take a look at our items just really quickly. I want to try to cut as much time down from these videos as we can here. So, you know, like I said, we're utilizing the helmet on Anchor for the resistance. So any high resistance rolls you can get, you want to definitely go focus resistance, then you want to focus HP. You want to try to get a little force shield on the side, but then if you can get cooldown reduction or crit damage, so, you know, crit damage coming from your element, your rings, your offhand, your weapon, and resistance. So I'm using heavy shoulders. 291's a decent roll, could probably go higher. There's room for improvement. Obviously 232 is a decent roll, obviously can improve. But you're going to notice the statistics that I've rolled on this. It has 80 base, or I'm sorry, 20 base toughness, and then 80 affix toughness. You know, I'm gaining huge amounts of HP just from this alone. 64k, and it goes up to 73k. So I'm gaining significant HP from here, as well as occult damage. Like I said, your rolls, go for what you can, but you definitely want to focus resistance. Now, for the arms, I am using Bruiser. You can switch these to heavy as well, but you're going to sacrifice HP. Bruiser armor types are split stats, so the Bruiser armor types are going to give you health points as well as all resistance. If you use heavy, you're only going to get resistance. My resistance are so beefy at this point, I figured I'd just go split stats, right? To try to, at least, you want to shoot for at least 80,000 HP. 80,000 HP is a good ratio. Obviously, I'm a little short of that, but I'm comfortable where I'm at right now. But you want to go for at least 80k plus. So these are my gauntlets. Again, we're using Bruiser. Same thing could be said about the shoes, I believe. Yeah, the boots, I'm using Bruiser again. The only reason I'm using these boots is because the 403 is actually a really high resistance roll. The main focus that I've said on previous videos for your boots is you want to get movement speed. Movement speed is the only statistic that will go on the boots that won't go on any other piece of gear. So you want to make sure you're at least getting movement speed down here and resistance. For the pants, we are using heavy. Again, look at that resistance score. I have HP socketed in here to boost my HP. I do have HP socketed in my helmet as well. So that's completely up to you if you want to sacrifice more HP and put the resistance gems in there. I mean, you're not going to need more than 80% resistance, guys. And with the buffs that we're casting and everything we're getting, you should be over 80% if you would have the same exact setup. As far as the rings, you want to make sure you have at least 30% crit damage on there, but you also need to maintain the damage. So, for instance, we have fire damage on here, but that's to the attack, so it doesn't matter. But, again, we have fire damage over here. You want to make sure your priorities are at least Frost and Sacred. That's what I have in my weapon here. Sacred basically lets Anomaly cast weakness as well. Any Sacred damage you're doing, once that monster gets to 15%, boom, he's dead. I can kill stuff with Anomaly. I don't even have to cast my Solar Flare for the weakness. And the same thing can be said about my tiers. Everything that I cast has weakness on it, which is Sacred damage. So once a monster gets 15%, any of my spells can instantly nuke him. Now, of course, the chest, we do have the Frost Weave. I shouldn't have to explain what this does. It takes 100% of your freeze chance, adds it to your critical chance. It's huge for the DPS increase. And then, of course, the Trowel. Everybody should know what the Trowel is. Everybody hates the Trowel. Everyone talks shits about the Trowel. Guys, it's going to get nerfed. It's only a matter of time. So, how badly they nerf this, well, we'll have to wait and see. So, for right now, have your fun with this. You can't roll statistics on either of these items, so whatever you get on it, congratulations. Again, like I said, the rings, you want to make sure you have high crit damage on the rings. As well as, I did get lucky with this ring. It has 18% all resistance score. It has the +2 element, stacked, inflicted, and 30% crit damage. We do have our transfer time on this. So we have the base stat line of 25% critical damage, and then the affix critical damage. And then on this one, the same thing basically, except different statistics. Actually, is this the same exact ring? I think this is the same exact ring. I probably copied it, I'm guessing. Yeah, I think it's the same exact ring. Now, your weapon, you want to try to get crit damage on here. If you can balance the spell affixes, that's up to you. So you can see here we have Fire, Frost, and Elemental, but they're all going to attacks, not spell damage. So that's a key note. We also got Life Leech from weapon damage, but the main thing here is the 28% critical damage. This I could probably reroll a million times to get something better. The offhand, you want to go for a lower one. I actually rolled a really nice one. Is it right here? This is the one I rolled on the right compared to the one I'm using on the left. And the biggest difference here is the one on the right, that shadow damage messes up the whole rotation. So this is a instance where you have to maintain those affixes on what damage types you're looking for. So the one on the left is just slightly worse, right? It has negative 56 transfer time. The one on the right is the lowest that you can get in the game. It's negative 50%. So I'm missing 6% there. But look at the stats. Look at the ones on the right that I rolled. 95% spell damage. That's outrageous. Life Leech from spell damage. 30% critical damage. 322 occult chance. Most of your DPS is coming from occult damage, so that's huge. And then 38% duration to stasis inflicted. This is literally one of those wet dream items. This is something that you would roll on the live servers and sell it for like $50. Maybe even more. So someone on the live servers would pay a lot of money for something this goodly rolled, right? This is a god item as far as I'm concerned. So like I said, the main difference for me is, unfortunately, the lightning damage. So if I would put this on, for instance, my spells are going to change. See, now I don't have lightning damage, right? Yeah, here it is. My solar flare was giving me shock. Well, now it's giving me sacred and cursed, or weakness and cursed. So that's a huge deal. We lose an entire element out of our rotation just by that one small change. So if we look, now we're getting that shock damage. Now we have that shock element. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I could probably make the change and still do enough damage, but whatever, guys. That's going to wrap it up for the items. If you have any questions with the items, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Like I said, this is very end game. It's going to take a person a very long time to accumulate perfect rolls on all of this stuff. My necklace can get a little better. I don't think we went over the necklace, but this necklace is... it does have +8 to all attributes. I believe this actually goes up to +20. I think you can get a necklace with +20 all attributes. But I mean, it was just too good not to use it. Obviously, it has 30% critical damage and +2 element stacks. So right there alone, that's just sexy. But I could probably get a better necklace if I really wanted to. That's going to wrap it up for the items. Let's go ahead and finish her out. Alright, very quickly we'll do a legendary map just as a showcase. So I already posted some run-throughs. I'm going to actually post that full run-through of me doing 140 million damage on stream, so I'll post that eventually as well, guys. All the links, again, will be in the description that you need. So let's go ahead and do a quick map here. Apparently I was making some boots. Alrighty, let's go ahead and do this legendary real quick. Let's go ahead, 187. We'll go ahead and pop this map in there. You'll see how slow I'm moving because of the points, and then if you stand still, those points will go up. So you want to go ahead, grab as much as you can. I'm lagging, obviously, freaking FPS lag out the ass. Grab everything, and just go ahead and do everything. I mean, look at the damage. The damage is just absolutely insane. So we got some really unlucky boss rolls here, so that's cool. You'll notice that we are taking damage as well, right? We're not invincible, guys. We will not be invincible. So, go ahead, try to move everything down. You want to group everything up. These things are not being nice. They don't want to group up, unfortunately, but there you go. Those things just got nuked. And then we'll go ahead and try to grab these other ones up here. And they should be dead. Are they dead? No? Still one guy standing there? So this is where this build suffers, right? Your single target damage. I only have one guy left, unfortunately. We should have gathered him up a little better. So you just want to just keep toying. Once he gets 15%, he's going to instantly die. There he goes, 15% instantly dead. We got a bunch of legendary items. This would have been a nice little map on live server, right? So that is the map showcase, or the demo, rather, pretty quickly. You saw the damage. Both my golems are still alive. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. All the links will be in the description. If you want the offline JSON file to play and test with yourself, make sure go ahead and join that Discord. And I'll see you guys in the next video.